In this lesson, we'll be creating the UI that enables the user to change the volume. To start, we're going to create a new UI document and we're going to call it audio settings. And then we're going to open it and we're going to drag sliders onto the canvas. We're going to call this one the master volume slider. We're going to call the second one the music volume slider. And then we're going to call the third one the sound effects volume slider. Then we're going to set the default value to 1. We're going to set the maximum value to 1. And then we're going to set the low value to something that's low but not 0 because we'll be using a logarithm function. And logarithms don't or aren't defined at 0. We'll also change the label. So the last one will be sound effect volume. The second one will be music volume. And then finally, the first one will be the master volume. So that about does it. We'll exit out of there. Now we're going to create a new folder called settings. We're going to create a new class called audio settings element. We're going to inherit from visual element. And then we are going to use the UXML factory so that it shows up as a custom control in the UI builder. We're going to create variables for each of our sliders. Then in the constructor, we're going to use our .uxml file to build the hierarchy. So we're going to call resources.load. We're going to try and get a visual tree asset. We're going to remove everything after, or should I say, before the resources directory in the path. Then we're going to call clone tree and we're going to pass in this. Now we should be able to query for the different sliders. Now we are going to use resources.load to get a reference to our audio mixer. Then we are going to listen for the not register callback, but register value changed callback. And so when the value changes, we are going to set the value of the volume of that audio mixer group. But first we want to create constants for each of the exposed parameter strings. So we'll create one for the master volume, one for the music volume, and finally one for the sound effect volume. So we're going to use these constants down here. And then we're going to take the logarithm base 10 of the value, and then we're going to multiply it by 20 because we're working with decibels. Now we're just going to copy this block of code, and we're going to repeat the process for our music and sound effect sliders. Now we need to open up our settings.uxml and drag our custom control. And it doesn't appear to be dragging, so we might have an error, and we do. I believe I know what's wrong. So whenever you load from resources, you do not want to include the file extension. So let's clear that out and try this again. And now it's working. Great. So we can save and exit out of here. It's actually difficult to see the sliders when the background is completely black, so we're going to change it to green. Click save, exit out of the UI builder. Now if we hit play and open our settings page, we can see that as we lower the volume, it's reflected.